Hi guys, welcome back to another Matchbox Garage video. I'm Rob and today I shall be attempting to take this Realtoy Mazda RX8 from shabby to shiny. The Realtoy, a brand made in China, and I've never done a Realtoy before, and I've done kind of 80% of my videos being Matchbox, and I've started to kind of take in other little brands here and there, and recently done my very first Hot Wheels. And yeah, this Realtoy, it was a car that somebody approached me and said, I'd like to commission you to restore this one today, and here's some pictures of what I want it to look like. So I thought, well, I love the Mazda RX8. I think it's such a cool looking car, and of course with the story behind it, I wanted to help out, so here we are today. But we'll start by drilling down the centre of the post, just one on this car, remove that flange and tap the hole. Please do remember to lubricate the end of your piece. I've snapped mine I think 3 times now. But yeah, here we are, the Mazda RX8. A strange engine in this one. I think it's by a Mr. Wankel, but otherwise known as the Rotary. And these can be, little screamers, fast little cars. But yeah, not a lot reading underneath here. It just says the Realtoy Mazda RX8, and it's a 1/58 scale. But a nice kind of amount of detail underneath here. Like I say, I've already pre-drilled this one, and just wiping off the lube there. You can never use too much. But I'm just going to pop the base off. Having never taken apart a Realtoy before, obviously not knowing what I'm going to be dealing with, but the you can see the interior section there is kind of held onto by a couple of tabs to the base, and that in turn holds the wheels in. So the wheels there shoot in each different directions. But yeah, great little detail on this modern casting. Of course, I generally deal with the older stuff, so it was quite a nice change to do with the new one. But a lovely bit of detail, and this will be getting a paint later on. And we've got the a plastic base here. 99% of the cars I've ever done are metal bases, but yeah, this plastic base was fine. And these original wheels, they'll be chucked in the bin, rusted through. You can see the rust on the ends there, but pretty poor detail in those, so they'll be going into the bin. And there's a little tab here, and again, having never taken apart a Realtoy, I couldn't really see myself being able to drill this out, but it was a case of gently and trying not to crack the plastic kind of window section here. And I've taken it out. It does have a crack along the top, but thankfully unseen on the car. And here's the main casting now. And this will go into my foot-long hot dog jar. We'll cover it in boiling water, and then incoming a tablespoon of caustic soda. And my camera just stops for a second, so you'll just see here I actually put in a little bit extra. I think these newer castings, they take sometimes 2 tablespoons just to get the paint lifted. And I'll just put that to one side. And whilst that's doing its thing, we've got the plastic section here. So you've got 3 pieces going into the warm water, and these will be getting a little bath. Like I say, the interior there looking nice and clean and tidy. To be fair, it was already clean, but of course there's no harm in cleaning it up further for painting later. The base there, that'll be getting a paint as well. Being a commission, I wanted to make sure that this was perfect. A 10 out of 10 job today. And I do feel that I achieved that. But the window section here, a little bit scuffed. So we kind of, with the 1200 grit, and then polished up. and then a dunk in the Pledge Revive It. And I've just bought myself, not that I needed it, but I've just bought myself a second bottle of this stuff. It's expensive, but it's like gold. Highly recommend it. And so we're using the matte black in the aerosol for the plastic base section here. And this is just paint that I've bought from the pound shop or dollar store. And I would never paint the casting in this, but things like this unseen kind of base here is perfect. And it's been perhaps 15 minutes or so. And majority of the paint there has gone. Probably a good 93.83%. And I'll be using my Tack Life tool to polish that up. And look at that. I not only polished it up, I then sanded it down with a 1200 and then polished it again. Again, being a commission, I wanted to put every little bit of extra effort into this one. And that, yeah, has come up beautiful. Tamiya Fine Surface Primer in white. And just a single, relatively light coat of primer, just to help adhere the main coat shortly. And what I do is I rest this above my radiator to fully dry and harden, and it probably dried off in about 15 minutes. But yeah, whilst that's doing its thing, now the base here is dry, and I'm going to use a mixture of a gunmetal grey, which I thought would be perhaps too dark, and then just the silver, which I thought would be too light. And you know, I'd consider this kind of like a Danny's method. You know, Danny from Danny's Diecast Disasters. You know, with these bases, just mix up that paint, and of course, kind of dry brush it on, just to really highlight all of those details underneath. And that's certainly something that I've learned from Danny, so check out his channel if you're not a subscriber already. So as you can see here, put perhaps a little bit too much of the silver in, so just another little blob of the grey. And I've got this kind of cheapy large brush that I use for this, and you want just the tiny amount of paint, and I'm probably using less than 1% of this paint, so it's a bit of a shame really to waste it, but there we go. And as you can see there, I'm wiping it off, drying it off, and you kind of imagine there surely can't be any paint left on this brush. And then you can see it, just that small amount makes all the difference. And anything that's raised there, it's highlighting, and before your very eyes, at least I think that looks pretty good. So now it's been perhaps 15 minutes or so for this primer to go off and fully harden. I will be using the Revel Email Colour in the number 34 in a red. You know, I was given a picture of the car or something similar, and I felt that this red would be a very close match, straight out of the tinlet. I'm going to try and do a relatively light coat to start with. Now this is mixed as a 50-50 with enamel thinners, and I use the Humbrol enamel thinners. And this paint goes on a dream. Doesn't need any clear coat or lacquer afterwards. You know, this is a glossy finish. I eventually put on 3 coats, but there's the first coat there, and then a good probably 10 minutes in between each coat for it to flash off and dry. Now the original wheels on this car are a 5-spoke design in silver, but I've got these 5 spokes here, but they're white. So again, I'm going with some matte silver this time and hitting it up from all angles, and then leave this overnight to dry before putting the tyres back on. So lastly, turning our attention to the interior. It's like a kind of silvery colour, but you know, I understand that the interior is in a black and red leather, so we'll try and best replicate that. I referred to Google and Google images for red Mazda RX8 on probably no less than about 20 occasions, where little pieces should be, what colours should be in certain sections, on the rear, on the sides, on the front, in the interior, just to get this as close as I could to the real thing. But anyway, it's the following day. And that window section, smooth, beautiful. We know the underside here, and I've painted in with yellow for the rear number plate. And like I say, so after painting it black, it dried, coming back with the red inserts. Super happy with this paint job. Yeah, I would say this car is one of my best. Really enjoyed doing this one. And then the wheel there that was white and that is now silver, just like the real car. But anyway, I just want to remind you of what she did look like, and this is the result. So I've added a few more details now, the headlights and the grille sections there on the front, coming around to the side. Of course, you got the wheels now in situ, looking good on this car. I've painted in the B pillar in black, like the real car. You may just about see it on that wing mirror, a little bit of silver there. And then coming around the back, painted in the rear lights, and then just highlighting where that raised kind of red light is there. Of course, you got the yellow rear number plate, and then the rear diffuser on the bottom there. But anyway, the chap that approached me was a Mr. Gordon Adam, and this is a present for his friend Tom Bryson. This car, the real car, is called the Teasy Weezy, so the family obviously fondly call it. And this is just a little thanks for Tom from Gordon, and he's really just wants to say thanks for being there as a friend and listening, and he's asking, where's that beer you promised me? But anyway, guys, hopefully Gordon, Tom, you like this one, and everybody else, leave a like, and I'll see you on the next one.